Hello everyone, this is Mohammed and today we're gonna ask the people what is Oman. If they know what does Oman mean or what it is. What is Oman?
Oman? I don't know.
Oh gosh. No, thank you. Sorry.
It beats me. Wait, what is... Can I repeat the question?
What is Oman?
Oman, is it a spiritual, like, head in a religion?
What is Oman? I really don't know. Maybe it's a name?
A name of what?
I'm not sure.
What is what?
What is Oman?
Oman? No idea. What is Oman? No idea.
I really don't know.
Okay. What's up, everybody? It's Alex and Marco, the Vaga Brothers, and you are watching BBB TV.
This week we are in Oman.
Last week with Jack and Finn was an extravagant adrenaline overload, and this week was a nice counterpoint to that.
Oman is a fascinating country. It's one of the most unique countries in the Middle East.
It's a peaceful corner of the Arabian Peninsula. It's green, it's mountainous, it has thousands of miles of unspoilt coastline.
It's covered in fortresses.
The people are friendly. Everything a traveler is looking for, Oman has it.
It has this fascinating history of trade.
Oman was the top of a triangle of trade that stretched from East Africa down to Indonesia and India.
It's an overlooked chapter of history, and to learn more about that, you can check out Crash Course World History on the Indian Ocean Trade in the info box below.
So we hopped off the plane in Muscat, rented a car, and the first thing that we experienced was traffic.
Bumper to bumper traffic that would put the 405 freeway to shame. We spent our first few nights in a suite at the Al Hassan Hotel, a luxury resort just a few kilometers outside of Muscat. We woke up to a beautiful sunrise over the ocean and then headed off for a radio interview at 104.8 The Merge.
Good morning, this is Chris Fisher in the morning. We've got two brothers, the Vaga Brothers. It's coming up next.
Then we went down to the waterfront. We headed to the Mutra Souk, which is this amazing warren of back streets and alleyways.
You're looking around and you see these traders, merchants, and you really get an idea that that's what Omani culture was at its core.
The next day we met up with two expats, Ingmar and Alistair, who are going to be our guides for the week in Oman. There's three main regions in Oman. There's the coast, the mountains, and the desert. And our goal was to get as deep into each of those regions as possible.
So we hopped in our 4x4 and headed straight for the Hajar Mountains. Get the idea of sand dunes out near your head. These are some real deal mountains.
We're at the top of the Jebel Hajar Mountains in Oman at 1,800 meters, and check out this view.
We found these villages that are just like oases in the middle of the mountain. They're lush, they're green, and they're all irrigated by these canals called fallages. Fallages are the lifeline of the country. That's what brings water to these villages and allows people to live here. We're talking about houses made from earth, palm plantations stretching miles in either direction.
This is incredible. Talk about exploring in Oman.
You live in a mud house and you have some ceiling fans too. So we stopped for lunch in one of these villages and we see these two kids,
Saud and his friend Ibrahim,
cooking up an afternoon snack of rabbit. Now I don't know about you guys, but Alex and I grew up in suburban America where the idea of making a snack was at most making some mac and cheese.
Look at you.
The rabbit?
Yeah.
Now you catch?
Yeah.
Just now?
Yes.
It was incredible to see a 13-year-old kid had just gone out, hunted a rabbit, caught it, skinned it, gutted it, and was barbecuing it in literally a 30-minute time span. Saud and Ibrahim invited us to share in their feast.
Beautiful example of Arab hospitality, but unfortunately we did have to get on our way.
Mark. Where the fuck am I? I'm in your tent.
The next day we woke up and drove maybe 20 minutes through the desert dunes and arrived to a thatched palm house. We were greeted by the owner, Muhammad Hamid, who was a Bedouin. He and his daughter brought us into their home, sat us down on their carpets, and gave us coffee and dates.
He told us that we were in luck because today was the day of the Eid market, which happens only twice a year.
So we drove into town and were blown away by what we saw. So we are in the Omani town of Mintrib.
It's the holiday of Eid and we're on a special mission because people are buying goats.
Why are they buying goats? Basically they're reenacting a story from the Quran when Abraham sacrificed a goat instead of sacrificing his son.
It was so overwhelming because you see all the aspects of Omani culture. There were Zanzibari, Baluchistanis, there were people from all across the former Omani Empire.
In the shade, people had set up their stalls, selling all sorts of goods, from toys, to food, to daggers, to guns.
I saw one dude with a missing eyeball. There were guys with their traditional Omani daggers.
We got a great glimpse into Omani culture. We saw young people, old people, women, children. Everybody was there, and so were the Vaga brothers. We were lucky. We were the only foreigners in Mintrip on one of the biggest festival market days of the year. The people were incredibly friendly, and I've never felt so welcomed in such a foreign place. It was a really moving experience.
Muhammad. It's Muhammad.
اسمي محمد. This is Mart.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
On the way back to Muscat, we stopped in Wadi Shab,
Where Red Bull just held their annual cliff jumping competition.
thousands of feet of cliffs up on either side, and down on the bottom, this crystal clear water.
And as we were cooling off in the waters, we started reflecting upon what Oman was all about. I'll be honest, as an American, most of my countrymen would not put the Middle East at the top of their bucket list, but I believe that's a misperception. If you want culture shock, if you want friendly people, if you want beautiful scenery, come to Oman.
Turn off the news, tune in to Vaga Brothers, and book your ticket to the Middle East ASAP. After a couple days in the desert, Mark and I needed some R&R. After a well-rested night at Jebel Shifa, we headed back to Muscat, where we are now, preparing to head to the next continent. Well, we had a rad time here in Oman. Friendly people, amazing landscapes, really hot, but hey, that's the Middle East.
I know after 2 weeks in the desert, I've got a lifetime supply of boogers. But hey, next week we're going to a former Omani colony. So do your homework and give us a guess at what that could be through social media at Vaga Brothers or in the comment box below, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Lush valleys, swimming in wadis of all places. Omani hospitality, this oasis. Every morning when the sun comes out, a cup of coffee in a countryside mud house. On this adventure, the Vaga brothers getting in. A desert trip pit stop with the Bedouins. Plantations of date palm trees where Sinbad the sailor was lost at sea and couldn't see the far mountains of Hajar, the shores of Muscat down to Zanzibar. You gotta follow these two vagabonds, so like and subscribe and we'll travel on to the next place you'll have to wait and see if you just watch BBBTV. So like and subscribe to come with the Vaga brothers and watch where they go next.
Isn't that a country in Asia? Is that right?
Yeah, it's right. How did you know about it?
I study in history.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, thank you, sir.
What is Oman? It's a country in the Middle East. And to be honest, I don't know a lot about it. I guess it's probably one of the most stable ones in the area because we don't hear about it in the news that much.